All right, so we've been keeping a close watch on the DRC, and we have some breaking news tonight. Zambian President Edgar Lungu is in South Africa for an urgent meeting with President Cyril Ramaphosa about the Democratic Republic of Congo's presidential elections. That's according to a statement released by the Zambian presidency. Congo is awaiting delayed results from those polls on the 30th of December. It's meant to lead the Central African country's first democratic transfer of power in its 59 years of independence. At the same time, South Africa has asked the UN to postpone a meeting on the situation in the DRC until the results are released. South Africa began its term, you'll recall, as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council this year. It attended a meeting on the DRC called by France on Friday. There are major concerns about stability as those elections continue to be delayed. Counting of votes has been delayed. The Catholic Church, though, says according to its records, there was a clear winner. The US at the same time has deployed soldiers to Gabon, saying it wants to protect its citizens and installations in the DRC should there be post-election violence. The government of Gabon saying the situation is under control after an attempted coup there. Let's look at these possible hotspots in West Africa, in Central Africa as well this year. To discuss, we're joined by a researcher at the Institute for Dispute Resolution in Africa at UNISA, Advocate Sipho Mantula. Advocate, thank you for joining us. First, this meeting between the President of Zambia and President Cyril Ramaphosa, what do you think could be on the agenda there?
Thank you, evening, and to the viewers. I think this is very critical. Remember that Zambia was the chair of the SADC Electoral Observer Mission in DRC. Despite that, President Lungu was not present, but his Minister of Foreign Affairs was there for more than a month. And they've issued a preliminary report. South Africa sits in the troika of the organ of SADC. So one can say that they are looking at what will be their strategy towards even the Friday meeting. As we have mentioned, that today the UN Security Council meeting has been called off until Friday, meaning consultations are going behind the scenes. But it is very critical that this meeting, at least it looks at the role as well of the Electoral Commission in DRC. Are we putting unnecessary pressure on them, or is there something being cooked behind by the opposition as well as the ruling party?
Do you think Zambia could want South Africa to bolster its troops on the ground in the DRC and maybe take this opportunity to tell us what sort of presence we have in the DRC? What does this mean for our own military?
Francis, I don't think the military option will be the one. I think let's try to maybe say, what about the dispute settlement? What about the electoral justice system mechanism? How do we encourage all parties to go to the court? Despite that, the judiciary in that country, it is still captured by the ruling party as well. So one can be saying that for Zambia, it will be the issue of the power of talks, negotiation, mediation. But I don't think even South Africa will be allowed to mediate. More so, President Thabo Mbeki was not allowed by the DRC Congo based on his proximity to the then President Joseph Kabila. So we might be having the challenge that Zambia is looking under the SADC Election Observer Mission report as the preliminary report that we are waiting for the final report. Because their report, Francis, when one was reading it, it lacks some water than when you look at the AU report that was very clear, that was saying that there should have been communication by the Electoral Commission to all political actors. And the issue of the shutting down of the internet as well is a violation of human rights and international law. I think even Zambia should raise this issue with South Africa about the signal, about the shutting down of the internet services.
Well, this is interesting because apparently there was a UN meeting, the one last Friday, and South Africa reportedly, we cannot verify this, but reportedly South Africa going on the side of China and of Russia, not wanting a communique to be released by the UN. They would have criticized the internet shutdown. South Africa apparently concerned about inflaming the situation. Are we taking the wrong stance here?
I don't think, remember, these are the two BRICS countries as well, Russia and China. Now, South Africa, it is playing that solidarity, but I don't think it was proper for South Africa to have undermined that role of telecommunication during elections, because once you have that gap of communication breakdown, you are creating anxiety, you are creating electoral spoilers, and you are even at the same time wanting to raise the issues. I know that Belgium, USA, they've been critical. They were even chased out of Congo, but I don't think the UN Security Council should want to take a lead. Some of us, we are saying that what is the role then of the African Union Peace and Security Council? What is then the role of the SADC Council on the Troika on defense, security and politics? Because what we are seeing now is the politics of accepting the results, is the politics of the delay of the results, but even the pending violence that the media has been pushing rather than the question of justice. Why are we not saying, why are they not going for justice, for the electoral justice mechanism?
So perhaps even worse, according to some, I don't know if you heard, we've been reporting that South Africa actually wants to delay that next UN meeting on Friday, saying let's postpone until we have the results. Is that fair enough? At least then the UN can look at it from the view of having the results. But in the meantime, like you say, all the speculation, why are those results being delayed?
Yeah, I think South Africa, it is playing very careful that it doesn't find itself embroiled in the matters of DRC. Because remember, DRC, Francis, last year in the UN General Assembly, they were shying away from engaging the UN Security Council. Now, South Africa, in its third term coming back to the UN Security Council, must be very careful that, yes, we want to delay because we want stability in the region. So I think that South Africa is still going to engage with all the parties, because we saw the AU and SADC calling all political parties to engage. Despite others, they didn't want to sign that peace accord, or what one will say electoral code of conduct, to accept the outcome. So one will say that South Africa must be very careful not to tread into the area, because you have the International Great Lakes Conference that has been seized with the matter of DRC Congo. You have Rwanda, you have Burundi, Francis, that is quite. You have Gabon as well. So these are the countries that are really even involved in this matter, which the UN Security Council report has indicated about the role of Burundi and Rwanda as well as Gabon.
So are you saying that South Africa has to tread carefully, it has a limited role, but it could at least be talking out about government shutting down news operations, sending out observers and switching off the internet?
Definitely, Francis. South Africa has a limited role on the basis that Congolese are still raising the issue of their sovereignty. They're still raising that. Can you allow us to finish this process? And like I'm saying, that it is very important for South Africa not to shy away from even listening to the Congolese, because the Congolese are the ones who have to even resolve this problem that we are in because of the delay, because of even undermining the role of the regional bodies, because the role of the regional bodies are critical beyond international community. Because I think that the role of SADC, International Great Lakes Conference, as well as the AU and the neighbouring countries are very critical to be the ones that can mediate this crisis.
All right, let me throw in a question about Gabon quickly. We know there was an attempted coup that has been put down. The government says the situation is stable. But a lot of speculation about the US sending its troops into Gabon to watch what's going on in the DRC. US President Donald Trump often very hands-off, but this was a quick move. Do you agree with any of the skeptics that the US may have some dubious interests here?
No, not quite clear, because we saw the communique where they were saying because remember I said Gabon is an immediate neighbor of Congo, and American embassy and their staff, it is alleged and claimed by that media statement from the U.S. Congress that it is to protect their interests and their assets in the DRC. One would say it was a coincidence maybe for them to be in the Libreville, capital city, during that time. But I don't think it might be a coincidence, but I think it is a conspiracy theory that is far-fetched, because it has been maintained now. But I think Gabon as well is a problem of leadership as well in that country, as well as the role of AU to have instilled that order. But I think there is there is a justice system that is handling the coup plotters to handle the matter quite very well. But America is still have an interest in the Congo elections, Francis. That is why I think they've sent their special force there.
Okay, so we take that at face value. Very quickly, Gabon, at least the troops seem to be loyal to Ali Bongo. He wasn't there. He was receiving treatment in Morocco. These were junior officers. Could it be a sign that that loyalty that was there is no longer?
Definitely, but these were the junior officers, which one thing that they did not communicate with their senior military generals. Because when you look, these young people who were in the broadcast center, they were even talking things that were all about they want to have a new government. They are raising the issue that government must not undermine them, because this is a youth that were angry with the 2016 elections. Remember the former AU chair, who was leading, Jinping. He was one of the persons who they were saying he was not happy with the post-2016 election in that country. So one can say this was one of the elements or the rogue elements within the military, and as well as we are aware that they were being clamped down within few hours, and as well it was a sad moment because there was no even, one can say, any intervention from the neighbouring countries. So it was just an internal fraction, or one can say a mutiny, rather than calling it a coup.
All right, thank you very much. That was Advocate Sipho Mantula, a researcher at the Institute for Dispute Resolution in Africa at UNISA. And just a reminder of the breaking news tonight, Zambian President Edgar Lungu is in South Africa, a meeting with President Cyril Ramaphosa. We've had word from officials about that meeting and that it in fact has been moved to tomorrow. Earlier, the presidency released a communique saying that was under that meeting was to take place, and we'll certainly keep an eye on the DRC, that country on a knife's edge perhaps, according to some, as the results are delayed. The Catholic Church saying there's a clear winner, but the Electoral Commission is just not announcing that yet. Over to Stephen.